I think anyone who is meditating is already connected to Indian classical music.
Every rag has a certain power in itself,
Yeah.
certain blessing in itself, and just by listening to it, everything is vibration, and this vibration is spreading, it influences us.
Every Indian art form, the purpose of it was spirituality. These art forms are a way to reach the divine and not to make oneself bigger.
Gurudev always says, like, don't bother about other people, just be yourself and do what you have to do. Do your duty, Arjun, no?
Right. The only thing that I can control is, did I practice every day? Did I grow every day? Same with life. Expecting validation from people is the surest way to unhappiness. I mean, why would you choose a more difficult life after you've seen something that can help you so much?
Today I'm here with Nandini Shankar from India.
Yes.
She's a very famous classical violinist. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
Gave some nice concerts in Europe. You were here now for 1 month almost.
Almost, yes. It will be 1 month in another 3 days before I go back.
You go back? Where are you living in?
I live in Mumbai in India.
Mumbai.
Yeah.
Maybe you share a little bit about your musical background.
Sure. So I was very blessed and fortunate to be born in a musical family. Music is in my family for so many generations. Me and my sister Ragini, we are the 8th generation of musicians.
Okay.
And the 3rd generation of female musicians in our family. So I received my training under the guidance of my grandmother, Padma Bhushan Dr. N. Rajam, and my mother, Dr. Sangeeta Shankar. They are both extremely accomplished violinists. My grandmother was the pioneer of the Gaiki Ang on the violin. That means the style of playing the violin as music is sung, the vocal style on the Hindustani violin. So she was the one who created that technique for Hindustani music on the violin. So it's...
she created that style.
Yes, she created that style, and now a lot of people follow that style. So I think it's truly a blessing to be born in this family where it just comes to you like inheritance, you know. So my childhood was filled with hours of practice and learning and music.
When did you start to play?
I started when I was just 3.
3 years old.
It's a family tradition. Everyone starts when they're 3 or 4. Yeah, and that too with a full-size violin, not the tiny violin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And like proper training or playful? Just
No.
playing?
Every day, 1 hour at that age.
Okay.
It's like you brush your teeth, you have to shower every day, you have to practice every day.
Okay.
In fact, all through my childhood, my parents never asked me to study for school, but my mom would always ask me, did you practice today?
Really?
Yeah. So it was that integral a part of my childhood.
Okay, so with 3 years you started to play violin, and then?
And then when I was 8, I gave my first public performance along with my sister in Bhopal. And I think the advantage of starting so young is you like the stage immediately. You don't have fear in you yet because you're still so young. And when I was 13, I gave my first solo performance in Dharwad in Karnataka, in India. And ever since then, I've been performing.
So you're now whole, full-fledged violinist, like that's your main...
Exactly. Of course, I was very good in my studies, despite my parents not
pushing you?
Pushing me for it. So I completed my chartered accountancy. I worked for 6 months, but then it was very difficult to manage both careers together. So I just decided that I'll give 100% to music. And, you know, if I ever need to, I can always go back. And luckily, I haven't had the chance to look back. Yeah, I mean, I'm here in Germany sitting and talking to you. So I think all is going well.
I think it's more than going well.
Yeah.
Like, to be an artist and to be able to live with the art, I think it's a great blessing.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
About classical music, I'm quite ignorant about it, but I know that it is a deep expression of many different things, like the ragas, different moods can be expressed, and it is something deeply spiritual also.
True.
Can you maybe speak a little bit about spirituality and music, how those things are connected in general, and then maybe also for yourself?
Sure. So I think anyone who is meditating is already connected to Indian classical music. They just don't know it yet. Because all Indian arts, I think I mentioned it at the beginning of the concert as well. Every Indian art form, the purpose of it was spirituality. The purpose of it was to reach a higher level of awareness. So if you notice, there are so many famous temples in India. There are sculptures in India, and in Indian classical music we have ragas, which are basically different scales sung at different times of the day. And
which express a different mood and are connected also to deities differently, or not so much?
Not so much to deities, but definitely to the time of day. In Indian classical music, the emphasis is more on the expansion of the raga. So you'll notice that there is never any information of who created a raga, who built the temple, who created a work of art. Because in India, it was always believed that these art forms are a way to reach the divine and not to make oneself bigger. So Indian classical music was also created with the perspective of achieving the ultimate. In fact, it happens to me even now that if I spend a lot of time meditating, if I reach a deep meditative state after I come out, if I have to listen to music, it can be only Indian classical music. Because that keeps you there. It keeps you in that silent space. And there was one point where I think for 1 or 2 weeks I could only listen to that. That is the purpose of it. So I think it is deeply connected to spirituality. And when I was 3, I obviously did not know that I would also be interested in spirituality.
Okay.
But my mother always encouraged it. She knew that I had an interest in this side always. So even when I was, I think, 10, 12, these are things I've not shared with anyone. So we would open Lahiri Mahashaya's interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita, and her and me would sit and read together. So she would say, and then I would try to interpret, and she would also help me with that. And she knew I had a little bit of a spiritual streak in me. So way back then, I think I learned some meditation, and she ensured we learned yoga also. And later I started reading a lot of books about spirituality. Of course, when I was younger, I used to read a lot of Enid Blyton and Harry Potter and all of that. But somehow after 16, 17, the books that I read, they were all based on spirituality, Autobiography of a Yogi, The Power of Now. I mean, I started reading a lot of books in this direction. And
so you had always an interest in those things?
Yes, always an interest.
How would you define spirituality for you? Because spirituality is such a big term and used in so many different ways. What is it for you?
I think it's just accessing a deeper dimension of life.
Okay.
It's not a goal for me. It's not a path for me. It's just accessing the deeper dimensions of life, living life from a place of depth. Yeah. For me, it is that.
It's interesting. You're saying it's not the goal and it's not the path for you.
No. It's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
Yeah. Because if it's a path, you have to get somewhere. If it is a goal, you have to achieve something. I think both these are quite contradictory to spirituality, because I feel spirituality is more about how you live right now. Being, yes. So for me, if I can incorporate that somehow, whenever I can in my daily life, of course it's not always possible, we are human, but for me, in fact, even musically, when I switched careers, like I told you, very soon I realized that, we can't really control the outcome. We can't control how much success we get. Even after you practice, you can't every time control how a concert will go, because there are so many factors that can go right, that can go wrong. So the only thing that I can control is, did I practice every day? Did I grow every day? Same with life. Am I doing my sadhana every day? am I deepening my quality of living,
This
of
is,
being?
it's actually, I listened to one of your videos Madesh Das was sending me where you spoke about music, and there was one part where you were asked about your future plans for your career.
What did I say?
It was actually really nice. That's why I also thought to do this interview, because you spoke about the essence. You spoke about the essence of karma yoga to some extent.
Okay.
So maybe you don't remember.
No. I have a bad memory.
No, but it came very spontaneous. The question was, what do you envision for your future outcome? And you kind of said what you just said now. You can only do your best.
Today.
That is all what is in your hands.
Yeah.
What will be the outcome is not in your hand.
Exactly.
So it's like in the Gita, Krishna says, you have the right for action, but never to its fruits.
True.
It seemed to me like that. I will do my best, and every day I have to try to come to a place where I can say, I have done my part.
Yeah, exactly.
If then a big contract comes or a big career comes, that is not in my hand.
Yeah.
That is in his hand.
Exactly. Whatever is ordained will happen.
So that's a way of living which I think is helpful for anybody, because it is.
And especially musicians, because we are in a career where we perform to audiences. So where it's very easy to fall into the mental trap of, did they like my concert? Was it a success? How many people came? And if the mind is trapped in these things, you'll never find happiness. Because success is measured by the validation that people give you. And expecting validation from people is the surest way to unhappiness. I mean, so to be in this career and to have music as the main focus in life and not everything around it, I think this is the only approach that would keep me a happy person.
Okay, so your measure of success is what, in that sense?
I don't think about that very deeply, but I think if we keep doing whatever we have to do, it will come. That's been my experience always. Because at a very early age, I got a lot of opportunity. That I think again is, it's of course hard work, but it's also a blessing that I got to perform with some of the best musicians. And you say a big contract will come. That also happened in my life already. So there is material success, there is personal success, there is spiritual success. So I think it's a hard question for me to answer. What is success exactly? Yeah.
No, because you like you said, if I validate my success on the opinion of other people, that's the surest way of getting unhappy. It's I think really helpful. Also, Gurudev always says, like, don't bother about other people. Just be yourself and do what you have to do. Do your duty, Arjun. No.
Right. I think from that perspective, for me, success is if I am growing in my art. If I am improving, because that is truly wonderful to see. It's like a sadhana in itself, it's like a meditation in itself after some time. You spend the 2-3 hours a day, and then 1 week later you can play something you couldn't play 1 week earlier. And when you play that, you experience that music also. So it gives you that joy. So I think that is success for me. If I'm not growing, then it really bothers me.
So growth, personal growth, tactical growth, spiritual growth, that is something what
drives me.
Drives you.
Yeah, absolutely.
To go to a more deep, to go to spiritually, to more depth.
You summed it up, I think I'm getting to know more things about me also.
Well, that's the point of speaking about those themes.
Yeah.
It's really nice to actually see this kind of living, because I think many people are, especially if you're a musician, for whom are you playing? Now, for whom are you singing?
Yeah.
So I don't know, for whom are you playing? For whom are you singing? I don't know. Is there something which you, like before you go to a event, is there something where you put your mindset on, or is it just an automatic, you just go and do what you have to do? Or is there I want to give something to the audience, or is it I play for God? Or I don't know. Like, everybody has like...
Yeah. I think it keeps changing also. But I will tell you what my answer is right now. So one thing is there, I always pray to Goddess Saraswati. So since I was young, since I was in my teens. So before I go on stage, I do a little prayer in my head always that she should take care of everything, because it is Saraswati that is playing through all musicians. Music is through Saraswati. So that is number one. The second thing, I think what I have in mind is, some phrases when you play, some rags when you play, when you completely immerse yourself in the music, when I completely immerse myself in the music, it is like a kind of a meditation. At that point, in the mind, there is nothing but the beauty of that phrase and the experience of that beauty, which I think is very similar to the beauty that one experiences after some minutes or hours of meditation. So I just feel that beauty that I experience, if somebody in the audience can experience that.
To share that.
To share that. Not, I mean, of course, entertainment is one part of it. When there are audiences where, in my more fusion kind of performances, that is one part. But when I perform my classical concerts, this is my perspective. That because those phrases have the ability to invoke something within us, to awaken something within us. So if I can feel it, how can I make someone who's listening also feel it? And maybe they understand nothing about classical music, but
something is touched.
Something is touched. They go get back and tell me, I slept so beautifully that night. Or I felt so peaceful after that. I mean, I don't want you to tell me the notes that I played or the rag that I played. But if this touches them, it is enough for me. My job is done. Yeah.
So are these rags, are they set or they vary? Like you just said, like every rag has a certain power in itself.
Yeah.
Certain blessing in itself, and just by listening to it, everything is vibration, and this vibration is spreading, it influences us, no? Like the player and the listener. Is there set ones, or is there also some which are just they just happen spontaneously, like you just play and something just happens?
So there is power in rags. For example, Rag Mia Malhar is a rag where, there are stories where people used to sing it and it brings rain. That's how powerful it is supposed to be. And now there is research ongoing about which rag one can use to treat what disease. In fact, my grandmother's rag Darbari Kannada was played for a patient who was in coma in an Indian hospital, and playing it regularly actually got him out of it. It was even in the news. So, of course, the research is still ongoing in that aspect. And to answer about whether the rag is fixed or changing, I think you can think of it as, we have 12 notes. Think of it as 12 different flowers. And we can create different bouquets. Each bouquet is a rag. But each bouquet has its own characteristic. There are some phrases which define that rag and get you into the mood of that rag. So there are quite a few rules actually. But after those rules, you're completely free to improvise. So if I perform a rag for say 45 minutes, the predetermined fixed portion will be about 2 minutes. For 43 minutes, I'm just flowing with the rag. But for this, you require a lot of practice. so that you don't have to think about the rules when you play. You just have to think about improvising and being in it. So I remember my first rag, I think Ragini and me, we learned for 1 year. Every day we were just learning that one rag. Second rag, second year. That slowly.
Wow.
And so they say that, you can learn 200, 300,000 rags even. But if you get to the depth of 10 or 20, even you can't even get to the depth of one rag in your entire lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it is. It's very deep.
What is the origin of rags? Where do they come from? Like, it wasn't a question which I was planning to ask, but now you got me intrigued.
I think they come from the Vedas, but I'm myself not very sure about it. Yeah.
But there's definitely, like you say, some divine depth in it, which the more you go into it, the more it reveals itself.
Yeah, it's like a never-ending ocean. The more I practice, the more I feel like I need to practice more.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years back, I think and compared to now, I feel like, wow, I have so much. It's like, how do I draw a parallel? There is perception, and how your perception expands as you go deeper into prayer. And so similarly with music, there is perception. So when you're a beginner, your perception is limited. So you think you're almost there, Just like in spirituality, you think you're almost there. And then you discover something deeper, and then you go deeper, and like, oh my God, there is so much more. So it's the same. Like, even when I meditate, I don't know if I have... it always feels like there is more, there is more, there is more. And I don't know if there is ever a final. And I don't know if it was ever meant to be that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more, I always feel like the more I practice, the more by His grace, by your sadhana, you realize who you truly are. The more I notice, I have no clue who I am. Like, it's like this.
Yeah.
Or like Socrates said, the more he learned, like when he was asked, he was said, you know so much. He says, I know that I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the more you know, the more you notice
that you
there's
don't
so
know
much to know.
Yeah.
The knowledge is infinite.
True. So that is the experience with music, spirituality, everything.
Really nice. Very nice. So your main approach to spirituality, would you say, is music or your meditation? You mentioned you do also meditation since many years, I guess, or...
So I learned meditation, yoga, all in my childhood. But since the last 1.5 years, I've been doing it regularly. Okay. So about 1.5 hours a day, yoga and then meditation. And that has...
Yoga, you mean physical yoga, hatha yoga?
Yeah, hatha yoga. And
because yoga is general term.
Hatha yoga and kriya and meditation. Okay. This has become a part of my daily life, and it has also dramatically improved the quality of my life, my music, everything. Because, I'm also in the career of music. So I think it is important to also have your spiritual practice only for yourself also in some way. So if sometimes, there are ups and downs in every career, so then that is the time to sit down just with myself, with nothing, and meditate. But there are times when I practice and it feels like meditation. There you cannot control it. Just like even in meditation, I think. Some days it's very meditative. Some days you try and try.
But it's not in your...
It's not in your hands, But then you still have to practice those days. Because I don't skip my practice. It's like a dedication to the art.
Discipline.
Yeah, it's a discipline. You do it anyway. So... But yeah, yoga and meditation has been a part of my daily life for a long time now. And as I was telling you, I feel very blessed that I'm also interested in this side of things. Because, not all young musicians my age who are into classical might be into spirituality also.
Okay, so it's not a given thing that if you are in classical music, automatically you have this kind of background.
It will affect you. if you are playing.
It will bring you there.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, but it does not guarantee an interest or an inclination towards that direction.
Well, maybe some scholars are there, but you're already in classical music.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well.
And also, my family gave that environment.
So your family was already giving the whole spiritual, like that there's a spiritual
work. I grew up with that, that there is a spiritual side to the world, and there are different margas to spirituality, and as classical musicians we perform in various ashrams also, so there also we see this side of the world, and my mother has also been deeply into spirituality, so just growing up in this environment, I think that's a lot, because it's not something I discovered one day and it's like, wow. It's not that. I grew up with it.
How important would you tell for anybody who listens to that to have a spiritual practice in your life, have a spiritual aspect in your life?
I actually don't tell anyone because I feel the calling.
For you?
For me, okay.
For you. How important is it for you? Because you said like since now maybe 1-2 years you practice regularly and it gives you some sort of peace, I guess, or some sort of space where you can actually in another way go deeper, like you go deeper with the music, but maybe this is also a way where you just come to a place of being, with yourself and digesting things. Observing the emotions, the thoughts, I don't know.
I think it is very important for me. I think now having gone into it, why would you choose a more difficult life after you've seen something that can help you so much? That is my thought. It's, in fact, even when I'm touring, at least half an hour or at least 20 minutes a day I will spend with some meditation or a kriya or something. It keeps me centered. As you said, one approach is where you observe your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. The other is where you become them. So I find that if I don't do my sadhana for some time, then I tend to become them. Completely. And if I become them, I have no control of the experience of my life. So
you don't become the observer, you become the slave of
exactly
of the waves which come. The wind blows this direction, you bend this direction. Where's this?
And with the sadhana you have a strong tree trunk, so you might move a little, but you are always centered. So I think for me it is very, very important. It's a daily part of my life. And I'm just blessed to receive the correct guidance and blessings and at such a young age.
I'm asking you that because I think it is so important that people like you also actually share about this, because I think many young people are also, spirituality has lost its place. And the values of this world are often, you have to work, you have to earn a lot of money, you have to become rich, famous, whatever it be. But the actual value, where's true happiness lying, is sometimes not revealed.
True.
So if somebody who actually has a successful life, whatever we define it, if we can see that those people are actually also part of their success is that they are centered and that they are using the ancient knowledge which is given to actually come to this place, then that is an inspiration for people to also
at least look at this side of life.
Open up.
But I think they will, because, I see so many people, they're just not as happy. Even I think 20 years back, 30 years back, people were generally happier. But now with social media and...
the distractions are more. I wouldn't say that people were more happy. I think the distractions were less.
Probably, yeah.
And now on a phone, you have the whole world in one click.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
You can be on the North Pole, you can be in a village in India and
yeah.
have maybe no means, but you have a phone and the internet,
yeah.
you see a whole world, and obviously the desires get kindled, and therefore the idea that somewhere lies happiness, but not there where I am, is more a danger.
It's more permeated now. And I think unhappiness often is a trigger for spirituality. Unfortunately.
Often.
Not for me. I am one of those people that have been more interested in it even when I'm in a very good place. But I think for 90%, when they are in a really bad place, I think that time they realize that the way out of my mind is not through my mind. You know, maybe they realize that. That is when suddenly God and spirituality...
It becomes interesting.
It becomes, oh, maybe there is something that can help me because I'm not able to do it myself. So I think if people are not generally, if people are more distracted, less centered, if it becomes too much, it's very natural that after that they will go to spirituality. Sure. It's like after Kali Yuga, there is Satyayug. So in each individual's mind, depends on how strong the Kali Yuga is, because if it is too strong, it will lead to that.
But I think we are all called to maybe give the impulse. We don't need... If somebody has to go to the lowest place, then that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
But I think the great sages and masters, they have come over and over again to repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
So that we may avoid that deep hole. Yeah. Why should we not learn from the mistakes of others?
If you're lucky enough to have a guru pick you up before you fall.
Exactly. And I think somebody like you, that's why I'm happy that you share that, is also an inspiration for many people to maybe hearing you saying those things can help them. I was just now in Gangotri and we made a lady saint there, and I was with Austrian actor, and she kept on talking to him and she was saying, I'm telling you this because nowadays people are listening more to you than to me, or to people like you than to people like me. So I have found something which has reduced suffering, which has brought the true joy. Yeah, and obviously you want to share it.
Yeah.
But people are not listening to me.
Yeah.
If you also start to endeavor into this world and share it, then people will listen. They will like, okay, there is something.
If he's saying it.
If he's saying it, yeah.
Yeah.
If a football player would say something, then they would all go for it. So that's why I'm glad that you share your small insights about your private life, your spiritual life.
Of course.
And maybe one last request, if you have a message for anybody who looks from you personally, feel free.
Sure. The world is a beautiful place, and I think it is up to us to make our experience as beautiful as we can. And music is a great tool to access deeper dimensions of life. So do explore the culture of India, the music of India, the spirituality of India. It's a rich treasure, and it will not disappoint you. And thank you so much for having me here. I had a wonderful time at Sri Pithanilaya with everyone here performing music, just soaking in the good vibes at the ashram. Such a beautiful temple down, and the blessings of Guruji. It's just been something I will remember for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.